Hey everyone, my name is Märt. I'm one of the co-founders of a company called DreamApply, which is a student admissions management platform. It's operating in 35 countries at the moment and serving about 2 million users this year. About 250 universities work with it. But I am a big fan of education development in general. So I've looked at how could we improve the quality of learning experience for all students globally, and I see that there is a possibility to invite innovators of education, like our panelists today here, and help them to improve the quality of learning experience. And for doing this, we have set up, for example, the Nordic Edtech Forum, which is an association of innovators in the Northern Europe. We have in total 160 people that are all mostly founders of edtech companies. And we also have set up a thing called European Edtech Alliance, which is kind of an umbrella organization on the European level that brings together associations of education innovators from 12 countries at the moment in total, representing 1,500 edtech companies from the Europe. And I'd be happy to give the word to Mari-Liis. Could you introduce yourself a little bit?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Mari-Liis Lind. I am the co-founder and CEO of VIVITA. And VIVITA is a creativity accelerator for children. So what we do is we develop different kind of solutions that help children express their creativity through technology. Basically, it means we're developing physical spaces, maker spaces for kids, and we're also doing software and hardware that children can use. We are currently operational in 7 countries. We've been around for 3 years, and we're now operating in Europe, Asia, and the US. And we are passionate about self-directed learning, especially in the age group of 9 to 14 years old. So all the solutions that we are developing are for promoting the self-directedness, the creative mindset, the inventor mindset in children of the age group. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you very much for this. How many kids are already involved in all the really cool stuff that you're doing?
So it's globally, it's now 1,000 kids that are involved. We started the operations in Japan. The second place was Estonia, and we've been expanding from Estonia. So majority of the children involved in our activities are based in Estonia and Japan, and the rest of the countries where we're operating, that's Lithuania, Singapore, South Korea, the Philippines, and the US. The number of children there is still quite low, but it's also because we've been operating in most of these countries for a very short time. We started the operations, for example, in US and the Philippines just before the lockdown globally started in March. So these 2 countries actually have only been participating in the activities online. So there's until now no physical getting together with the children from these countries. Yeah.
Excellent. Thanks very much for the introduction. By the way, welcome everybody who's joined us so far. If you have any questions or comments, just please use the chat. We would be more than happy to take them and look at them in our discussion. Conrad, please introduce yourself as well.
Yeah, hello. I'm introducing what we're doing best also by a bit showing it. So hello, I'm Conrad, from founder of the company ViARsys. We are a virtual reality company. For virtual reality conversions in all different kind of fields. But the education sector is a very important part for us because we also founded VRLab.at, which is an association for using virtual reality and modern technologies within to transport information. because essentially we think that the most important thing is to deliver educational content at the highest technological quality possible. And actually, we are inspired here by this guy, Dr. Otto Neurath, who was Austrian thinker, like in the early 20th century, who even in that time, he said that we in the new age of technology, where there is a constant storm of impressions via illustrations, movies, and radio, which were top of the top in that time, it is the more important to use minimum the same methods to get through with education. And so that inspired us to work very much in the education field. And we also represent the NEOS universe, which is like a open metaverse, where we also already have some educational institutions who were working with us for quite some time. Wait, let's change in my professional avatar. So now, hello. We use the power of virtual reality together with different institutions from all over the world in order to make things understandable that are not so easily understandable without virtual reality, because virtual reality is very good in many things, plus it has an emotional contraction, and there are already studies that the retention rate is higher when you have experienced something in virtual reality than just like reading from a text. And during COVID, actually, we accelerated this process quite much, because we had some loose connections between the educators on our Metaverse platform before. And with COVID, then one of our co-creators, members, how you call it in the Metaverse, is a university in Australia who already had some experience in like a class which was teaching in virtual reality. And so when COVID started, we started like regular meetups between universities and institutions from all around the globe, which was quite ironic, because before we were like always seeing the nerdos in our peer group, but then it's somehow we realized, okay, we are the only ones who actually can meet with each other and exchange and build stuff together at these times. And then it went quite fast. And one thing what we had to figure in that time was like how to use what we have in virtual reality and what we can do with virtual reality in like times of social distancing and schools and universities closed all over the globe. And so we came up with a solution of like, oh, we can actually stream what we're doing in VR also to a broader application. So we did a lot of experimentations there. We're still doing and try to figure what is the best cross-media distribution, especially for educational content. So yeah, that's what we are doing.
Sounds really fascinating. And again, everybody who's joined us, please feel free to ask questions or comment in the chat, so we could take you on board into the discussion as well. You're both doing really, really interesting things, and and I really like the self-directed learning aspect, and of course, in the Corona times, bringing everybody to virtual reality and taking advantage of virtual opportunities, which are basically endless. Maybe Conrad, you could give us a few more views of what it is possible to do in your virtual reality world already.
Yeah, I mean, one big part, of course, are like field trips, because you actually can visit places and get a feel for places much better being immersed in a virtual reality than, let's say, from pictures. For example, we have here. It can range from like basically 3D models like this one, where you can like import and like show real stuff and like have a feel like how big is something, what is the scale of it, to, for example, wait, let me check if this is the right one. Yes. to actually visit real places, and in this example, speak about geology. For example, we are here in actual data from the biggest mountain in Austria, which actually every school kid learns about, and by like visiting it in virtual reality, you get a much better and closer feel, and can explain, for example, what. Let me change to my point of view. For example, this here is a glacier, and seeing a glacier from pictures, yeah, you have some rough information, but like when you were here, you were here, and then you also can speak about like how this formed, and why there are always these little lakes of melting water, like here, and you get a much better feel and impression. Or for example, when you want to explain more complex things, like for example, look.
It's quite cool to see how you're moving your fingers on the screen there as well.
Yeah, this
it's another afternoon in the mountains.
Yeah, we are. I'm here, or for example, a geosciences class uses it for actually learning how to map within virtual reality. Or you can, of course, also like use it for like really making statistics feelable. That's some like very interesting thing, like economical data from Austria over decades, and you have like these three-way diagrams but laid out to you, and of course you can also make it like in real size, so you can like really make better feelable what numbers mean, for example. Or when we go out, we can also go for a field trip. For example, we can go to a field trip to here are my educational wells, in a bloodstream, and go with students and pupils in an actual bloodstream, and can discuss everything what is in there, and can stop, and we can also like make ourselves bigger and smaller and scale ourselves, and being immersed in like together with your students in a place like this. Yeah,
that's really amazing, actually.
Or one of the most obvious examples is when I find it here, human autonomy is, of course, but even when it's about something basic like human autonomy, you can like very easily gamify content within here, so you can do quizzes and stuff. And for example, here we have like human autonomy models, which you can like label, and you can take it apart, and you like really get a feel for how big is everything, where is everything located, and yeah, here we have, for example, the digestive system, or here we can actually travel in an ear, so we have it here in this size, but I can also make myself like small, and together with students, for example, like really make a trip in the ear and discuss, for example, here the little hearing bones. And yeah, so that's another use case for like really visualizing and making information accessible.
That's really super cool. Mari-Liis, maybe I would bring you in for a moment to well, all of these things that you're doing are related to real world and students being able to try out and build something physical very often, as much as I understood what VIVITA is all about. Maybe you could open this up a little bit more.
Yeah, in a sense, like what we try to do is create opportunities for like real life prototyping for kids. But of course, I think Conrad's technology, the VR technology, could also be an ecosystem where this can be done. What we noticed, I think, during these last 2 months is that being online is, of course, and running workshops online and virtually is super cool. But what the kids actually miss the most is the social aspect. And I also noticed that someone's written in the chat a question around it. So I guess I don't know, prototyping. Everything we do is also doable, doable online and doable via distance learning. But what we cannot compensate being distant from each other, I guess, is the human aspect.
Yep.
Just getting together in the same room and feeling the energy around that.
If I may chip in here, like they are, for example, virtual reality proof for us. I mean, like we operate also as a company. We operate like as a meta company, we call it, because we are actually building this stuff around us here, and virtual reality applications from within virtual reality collaboratively, and the feeling of presence in virtual reality is like you can have much more interactions with each other, and it like really feels real, to a factor where we had to introduce social distancing bubbles in VR before social distancing and Corona were there, just because in an open metaverse, you can imagine sometimes people come too close to you and it's like you really feel it. Of course, it's not a supplement for real meeting, but it is a way of interaction which comes pretty close. Because I always like tell it with a story like this, like 20, 30 years ago, when you called somebody on the phone, you knew where this person is set up, because, you know, maybe you have visited the living room or the office before, so you had like some sort of synchronization. Video conferencing can give that a bit, telephone calling not. But in virtual reality, like you really share the environment, and just like the experience of like sharing and manipulating the environment together already makes for social bondings and deep human interactions. So of course it's not the same like all coming together, but we figured, okay, better than not meeting at all, you know.
Of course, yeah.
Plus the collaborative aspect that you actually can do something. I want to show you there another project that we did with the American Indian Resource Center. This is about a collaboration where we basically trained American teachers from the Cherokee tribe. They have, you know, like their own schools and their own system in the within the states, and they are building ancient Cherokee village together with their students. So within virtual reality, and they could now during the lockdown also like continue to work on that, and like kids send stuff in there, students send stuff in there, and yeah, also create like a meeting space collaboratively in a way of cooperation that in the real school system I really like missed. I have two daughters where the homework was consisting of they sending the homework by email and 5 different learning platforms, because in reality, education is a big mess technologically, at least in Austria. I think that everywhere, yeah, are problems, but I can only judge from what I've seen.
I guess it's quite a lot the same everywhere, and it's even quite natural that the situation is like a mess of technologies right now. So it's only been around for such a short time, and it's come around so suddenly. So there is no one common place to go, and I'm not even sure if there should be. I guess there should be a variety of different platforms.
Yeah, but the problem for like the administrative problem, I really felt for the parents who are like not into computers so much, and who are not used to professionally make an account every day for something. When like then there are 8 different teachers and using 7 different learning platforms, and everybody has to like remember passwords here, resetting password there, and there was no standardization at all. At least in our country, because we didn't have like a nationwide solution or something like that. And even within one class, within one school, using, you know, one teacher wants to talk by WhatsApp, one teacher wants to talk via Jitsi, or what was it called? The other one uses Zoom. Yeah.
Yes. At the same time,
there needs to be a plan for that.
I think we can all relate to that. Yeah.
As Mari-Liis was putting it, I think it was very good that it's the first time that we even have those opportunities, and if we didn't have the opportunities, then we would have nothing at all. And I think now we can become stronger thanks to the experience that we have had. And I think everybody knows the lack of single sign-on for educational services is a problem. I mean, I've been personally talking about this for many years, but at the same time, there was no real push from the parent side and maybe also from the teacher side that, guys, it's so hard to have a different account for all of the different solutions that I would really like to use in the teaching. And now maybe we'll have it happening soon. I hope that there will be a single sign-on.
Until it was not mandatory, then it was kind of like optional, and everyone was just pushing it away as a question. And the single sign-on question is not a question related to just the educational technology. It's about any service you use. And like Märt, you can, I guess, also relate to this, being from Estonia and knowing how we have, like, Estonians have tried to solve the question, right?
Yes, I mean,
digital identities.
Estonia, I think, is a clear front runner here with national digital identity, which enables you access to 1,500 public services that are accessible online, and literally there is only 3 things that you cannot do online. One of them is getting married, the other one is getting divorced, and the third one is to buy a property. And basically everything else you can do online. So we're kind of used to it, and maybe Estonia could give a glimpse to the rest of the world how this could be organized. But of course, in the education sector, also Estonia wasn't fully prepared for bringing the whole learning online. There were some schools that had experimented with online learning just as a voluntary basis. But of course, the methodological side. So technological, Estonia was very well prepared. We had most of the systems available, and most of the schools had implemented some kind of systems to enable distance learning digitally. But methodologically, of course, we weren't prepared in Estonia as well. The teachers, many teachers try to still teach according to the books that are made for face-to-face learning, and of course in the digital world it doesn't make always a lot of sense, and this pushed the learning on the hands of teachers a lot. But maybe to change the topic a bit, what I wanted to discuss about was what we experienced in the various countries. What we did in Estonia, for example, was we invited straight away in the beginning of the crisis the companies that develop digital learning solutions to open up their resources and them for free for at least during the time of crisis, and so we could at least have access to the tools without worrying about the budget or other kind of issues. And almost all companies in Estonia, we have 42 education technology companies, and almost all of them joined on board and make their solution available for free. We quite quickly actually thought that let's expand this to the rest of the world as well. So we agreed with the Ministry of Education as well that guys, let's open this up, what we have here, to the rest of the world. About 15 companies were able to join this, and the Education Nation initiative was backing this from the government side. EducationNation.ee is the Estonian government initiative. I will write this into the chat as well. And the idea there was that if anybody could benefit from the solutions that have been done in Estonia, we need to keep in mind that in Estonia, all the solutions in the government are produced in private-public partnership. So also the learning solutions. And this means that it was a collaboration effort between the government and the Edtech companies to set up the next thing, which we call teachmillions.org. Just writing this down as well here for everybody. So Teach Millions is a joint initiative of 8 Northern European countries, the Nordics and the Baltics, where we invited all of the companies that were able to open up their resources, and by now 107 companies actually have joined this movement and made their solutions available to support the learners and the teachers in the crisis. So quite a few, if we talk about camaraderie in education technology, then I think this is a quite good example of how supportive the education technology companies are. There is another question, actually. Unless you want to comment on what I was just talking about, there is another.
I mean, like I mean, I find this very fascinating, and anyway, Estonia is like always like sort of like digital leader in this regard. But like, how did that go on? Because I think like, okay, the one thing is having the technology, and the other one is like really motivating the teachers to learn something new, yeah, or because also they have to learn like how to use these tools. I mean, like that's not something that falls from, it's like now you know how to e-learning. Were there some like initiatives to bring that to the actual teachers? Because yeah, the teachers were the same, I guess, like before, and they didn't say like, okay, now we have a digital teacher force who does it digitally and are experts in this, so you have to use the brain and manpower and women power what is here. How did you approach that in Estonia? Because like I think that is the critical point of convergence.
Yes, actually, we just yesterday had a discussion about this as well, and what we had to recognize is that the situation was super different depending on the concrete individual teacher. Some teachers had already previous experience using digital tools. I think there is statistics that about 70% of kindergartens in Estonia are teaching some sort of coding to the kids. So they're using various learning games for teaching codings, and it's quite interesting stuff that is being done. So of course, if the teacher had some kind of experience in using digital technologies, it was a lot nicer experience. And I've heard from some kids feedback that they felt that actually they learned even more efficiently or effectively when they were using digital technologies than they used before. And it actually kind of makes sense as well, because there's more and more research now coming up showing the value of digital learning tools in various contexts. And for example, I just talked with an Icelandic gentleman a few weeks ago who had done PhD work on the flow theory and implementing flow theory in education. And just for all the listeners that don't know what flow theory means, then it's a theory from the 70s. So it's quite old, actually. The theory says that humans are developing the best when they are about 85% of the time correct in what they're doing, or they know very well what they're doing. So if you're 100% correct all the time, what happens is that you're becoming bored because you have no stimulation. You don't need to work hard to achieve something. And on the other side, when you're more than 20% of the time wrong, then you might get the feeling that, hey, this is not really for me. I can't really manage with this, so I probably should do something else. So actually, the corridor that humans are developing the nicest is quite narrow. And what you want to do is you want to keep the person in the same corridor for a long period of time, so they develop the most rapidly. And then this Icelandic guys made a mathematics learning game based on the findings. And And the outcome was that kids, it's designed for primary school, first, second grade kids. And the finding is that the kids learn up to 12 times faster mathematics compared to the traditional curriculum-based system. So, and now with evidence kind of piling up regarding using kind of machine learning or kind of virtual environments, for example, which enable to tweak and adapt the learning to the learner, because all of us are different. Actually, we need a bit different approaches. We have different backgrounds that we can build upon. So and digital technology can help to improve the situation. So just going back to Konrad, your question, there is no kind of one answer. I think there is a lot of lessons to be learned from what happened now in schools, and I believe the same situation is in all over the world. I hope that we are going to use the crisis as the opportunity, because what I'm thinking about also is that there are some kids that would like to learn how to build rocket engines, for example. And if you have one of these kids in the classroom, you are not going to know what to do with this kid, because you cannot involve the expert. You might not know anything about your as a teacher. You might not, and
let it play. What's the call of the Kerbal Space Program? Very good game for building rockets for kids. It's amazing.
For example, but also, I mean, if we think broadly, then today's technology enables us to collect together all the kids in the world who are interested in learning about building rocket engines, and we could have easily tens of thousands of them globally. Only they are scattered all over the place. And if we have 10,000 kids that are interested and passionate about learning about rocket engines, we can easily go to ESA or NASA and ask these people to come aboard and help to teach these kids. And maybe design simulators or virtual reality or learning games to help the kids to learn what they're passionate about. And then we also know that I've had a discussion about this with one professor from Aalto University, which is one of the largest universities from Finland. And he concretely put that the kids that are building their own student company, I'm talking about business studies at the moment, they are developing about 10 times faster in business studies than the kids that are just following the study program. So and if we already know so many things about how the human brain actually likes to learn, so why wouldn't we try to use this to improve the learning experience in general? And I have the feeling that we could easily find ways to improve the learning experience about tenfold compared to what it is today. So that was a long answer to your question, Konrad, but I hope...
Coming back to the original question of Conrad about how it happened, it's also, I guess we need to really be super grateful to the Estonian teachers that we're open to just getting the notice that we're going to shift to distance learning on Friday and having to start doing it from Monday, and not really opposing to it, but trying to find solutions together with the school administration, with the minister, with the parents, and with the children. I think that's just fascinating, because with many countries we see that an easier solution was to decide to start summer holidays early, or to put the whole burden to the parents to just teach the kids at home. So it's I think it's just it's fascinating that the Estonian teachers have been so open and willing to go on this experiment and do that.
Märt, there is one thing what I really liked what you said. There is like this 10,000 kids that want to build rocket engines, because actually that's somehow what I feel, and also like from observing within the metaverse, because like the place where we build is like an open metaverse place where people from all different kind of backgrounds come together and then actually are shoveled up, and then of course it segregates again in these tribes of interest. That's some phenomenon that probably was always there, but before not really. So because there was geography, but you know, when you lived in a big city, you then founded a club with the 5 other nerds about your specific topic. And then when you were international and one spoke English, then you could also write with another club. I mean, like this is accelerated by the factor yeah, I don't even think that there is a number of like how fast it is accelerated over that. Not now. I mean, it started with these use groups and chats and forums and boards. Now we are at this stage where you actually can build it, live it, meet, even though without geographical distance. But you always find like the people which are interested in similar things, and I really like this approach of like, yeah. The world nowadays is so diverse that it actually makes sense that those people who are interested in, and I don't say rocket engineering now because it's very, but those who are interested in how insects work, yeah, or why be intelligent, or whatever, or even cooking, yeah, or finding whatever. It can be whatever field. Yeah. To develop here together, and that's something that is like like a big chance. And like, if from the nowadays perspective, I would think like also about my kids, and like an ideal education solution is that, yeah, there is this part which happens, which like the base that everybody has to know, like reading, writing, yeah, base knowledge about something. So probably that's what stops in when you're like 12, 13, 14. Like anyway, most school systems are built either with 14 or 15, it's like there is this base, but additionally to offer something that is not like regionally based, is like what teachers are on this school. Because like I got excited about geography because I had a very amazing geography teacher. Yeah, to give like the people to choose like what they want, especially my kids are doing it anyway. But what happens in the moment is the entertainment industry takes these talents and sucks them away into entertainment.
Yes, I actually totally agree that today one of the issues that I see in education development is that we are not welcoming innovators that easily, or it's very hard for the innovators to find a place and to feel welcomed into education sector development. And so very often we are losing talent to other sectors, and I've seen this happening in so many cases, unfortunately. I mean, for example, the European ride-hailing company Bolt, which is the biggest competitor for Uber in Europe now, the founders actually said that their first app, what they did was M-School. So they wanted to help the schools to do more mobile stuff. And they gave up very quickly because they were young guys. One of them was, I think, 18 or 19 when they started, and they said that it was so hard to even get in behind the table to have a serious discussion with existing education system people that they thought it doesn't make any sense to try to innovate this field, and went and built Bolt, which is now becoming one of the biggest startups in Europe. But both of you guys are creating environments for the learners to build the stuff that they are fascinated about and they are interested in. And maybe I would ask this way: that do you see that, Conrad, you actually already said that kids are coming together, and they are the groups that are interested in similar things, they are kind of forming, and then they're developing very rapidly. But do you see that this coming together and kind of learning from each other, like that this pushes the kids to move faster as well, and brings really interesting results in learning, and they actually have tangible learning outcomes based on this?
Yeah, so like we see it more like with adults now, because we don't have like the big influx of kids in like our metaverse platform. But it's like, I don't think that this is even like with kids or I think this is valid for all humans. And it's like when you find your right peer group where you can like get inspiration from each other, challenge each other, build something together, that this automatically makes learning possible. Of course, there are some people who really like to learn it. There are different types and everything, but there is a big population who thrives under social conditions, I would say, where you have peer groups and not with the book alone. Yeah, these are both forms of how to acquire it. But yeah, I would say that this is very enriching each other, especially social groups of interest. And across the educational field, other fields. I mean, like even people who are passionate about movies, yeah, when they like analyzing movies together, they make better analysis. I mean.
So what you're hinting at is that humans are social learners, and it doesn't really matter if they're doing it in the virtual world or in the real world. And maybe Mari-Liis, you could come in from your side, like how you see this.
Well, quite the same as you both say. We're not just social learners. We are per se the social creatures. We need the other people around us, either to like learn, to just reflect, or just to feel as part of a group. So in a sense, there is no difference if you find this group virtually or if you find it like physically. Coming back to the overall question of education and finding the group that shares your common interest towards the space or the insects or whatever that is, I truly believe that the future will be about this bento box education, that you combine the set of things that you learn by yourself based on the passions you have or the passions you want to like discover more. So you're not bound to the traditional educational path. You don't need to take all the courses in order to get somewhere. You don't need to go through like the traditional degree in psychology. Maybe you just want to do a few courses and then look at some other area. So I think that the degrees I think they're dying out soon. I never look at the degrees. So when I hire my teammates, I look at what drives them, what they've done actually, what their portfolio is, so to say. So it's more like a portfolio-based approach than a PhD-based approach.
Mm-hmm. That's a really interesting additional angle to all the discussions that we have had here. There was another question asking about how to sell the virtual learning to the kids, and I would just quickly comment on this, that I feel that when the technology is well done, then and it kind of supports the intrinsic motivation of the kids. I mean, let's face it, humans are learning machines. The Mother Nature has done a very good job in developing humans into the best learner of the animal kingdom. And I mean, we even have a reward system in our brain that if we get something new, if you learn something, then we get a bunch of dopamine into our brain to make us feel better and feel that we have achieved something great again. So if we have really good learning happening, then this is the feeling that we're getting, that we are feeling excited, that we're feeling accomplished. And so this is how the future of learning technology also needs to work like. Otherwise, it doesn't work and nobody wants to apply it. And if there is good quality solution, then we don't need to sell it.